All right, we are here with a championship transformation. She is a client that crushed her first 6 weeks with us. I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell her story. What is your name?
So my name is Maria.
Maria.
I am a teacher.
A teacher. All right. What
Yes.
grade do you teach, Maria?
I take care. I teach younger children, which is I work in a private school, Montessori. So I
Okay.
work for pre-casa students.
Okay. So I have kids. I know they're pretty active, so it makes you
Yes.
kind of active. Are you moving
Yes.
around a lot in your
Well,
position?
prior to before signing up with Fight Fitness, actually, my energy level was very low. I was constantly because during nap time the children are napping, and there was actually one point where my boss caught me falling asleep because I was so exhausted. My body was always tired. And like prior to that too, when I went to the doctor, my vitamin level, which is B12, was a bit low, so that kind of dragged me more down to the low energy.
Got it. So what do you think it was besides the B12? Because there must have been other factors that contributed to your tiredness.
uh, Eating, the eating was really terrible. My eating habit was horrible, actually. I would often leave my lunch or like not even pack lunch, and then would grab lunch outside like McDonald's, Tim Hortons, whatever that's nearby my work.
So like no plan at all. You just grab
No, not
fast
nothing
food
at all.
all the time. What was your fitness like? Were you doing anything for fitness at the time?
Um, Prior to signing that up, I actually just tried doing walking. I tried signing up at the gym, but we signed up for was a waste of time. Actually, we barely went to the gym. Um, Walking, tried coming home early, going for a walk. Bought myself a treadmill, barely touched it, so it wasn't really much of an active thing
Oh.
for me.
So you did all this stuff. You joined the gym. You tried to walk.
Hmm.
You even bought a treadmill. What do you think
Yeah.
was missing? What was the reason why you weren't able to stay committed?
Well, I wasn't committed enough because there was no motivation. Like when I TJ would often actually my partner would always sometimes like would bribe me. It's like, okay, if you try to do this, I'll buy you this. Like, but then it wasn't enough. It wasn't
Yeah.
enough for me to motivate myself to work out. So it wasn't just something that, I wanted or anything. He tried to pursue me to do something, and I was just like, nah, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I guess
It-
it was just something that it bored me enough to like not even go to the gym.
Hmm, I get it. I always tell this to clients. I was like, partners can't be coaches.
Sorry about that.
the most I do for my wife is I write her programming and I
Yeah,
try not to coach her because it's partners are there just to support, which
of course.
which it sounds like he's a great support system because he ended up coming with you, which is good. But before we get into the challenge, I kind of want to go through people usually decide to commit for two reasons. Number one, it's something
Mhm.
that's been bothering them for a really long time, and they couldn't come up with the motivation to do it. Or number two, something happened and like it's like, oh, now I have to do something. Which one was it for you?
It was more on, like I mentioned to Mark, actually, I always get picked on by my mom. I have a personal bully at home.
Hmm.
I mean, no disrespect with my mom. I love my parents and everything else. But the one thing that triggered me most of the time was I have a 12-year-old. Um, and there was a point where my mom literally said it in front of him. It's like, look at your mom. She's so fat. Like she's not going anywhere in life. Like look at it. Basically, she doesn't look good and everything else. And then there was that point where my son came up to me and he hugged me. He's like, Mom, it's okay because the reason why you're like this is because of me. And I said to him, I'm like, why do you think that way? Because if it wasn't for me or if I wasn't even here, you wouldn't even look that big. You carried me, you took care of me, you basically gave everything rather than taking care of yourself, you took care of me. So that was one thing that kind of pushed me more to find somehow like a help. Like I tried going to doctors and asking them for a dietitian, and like it was just more of like a failure. Like no one was motivating me, no one was giving me more of like, you can do it. It was more of like, you won't go anywhere, you're just gonna look like that. Like it was just more of a downfall for me, to a point where like I was just like, I don't care anymore how I look.
Hmm. Hmm. And that sounded like a pretty big trigger to
Yeah.
hear that from your son, right? So
Yes.
so you knew you that triggered it. You found
Yeah.
us, which is the good news, I think. You
It
found us.
was a huge, when you guys came across my Facebook, and I was just like, at first I was just like, oh, it's another gym, but then somehow like it was just like, if I don't try, I won't know at all.
Mhm.
So that's when I was just like to TJ, and I'm like, hey, I'm like, I wanted to go to this place. I'm like, I've set up a date to meet up with a trainer, and I wanted to see how it is. Actually, before that, I actually signed up from another gym,
Mhm.
which was more of also a one-on-one workout, but it wasn't like how you guys are, more of like just lifting weights, and I just got bored of it, like just constant lifting weight. I'm like, I'm not building like a full
Mhm.
build up muscle, and I'm just like, wow, I'm like, I kind of don't want to do this, because
Mhm.
not, I paid a certain amount, like I don't know how much I paid every week, and I was just like, I didn't see, there was no progress to it.
Mhm.
Like there was no food restriction, or not even a restriction, like a guidance to eat properly. He was just like, you come in here, let's work out, and that was it.
Mhm. Wow. So you even tried one-on-one training prior to us, and
Yes.
you didn't get the level of service and tools and
Yes.
that you needed. So let's talk about that a little bit. You found us. Fast
Yes.
forward past the 6 weeks. I'm going to break
Yeah.
this down into two things. What were some of your measurable results? What changes did you see in your body that were measurable?
It was more of my energy level. First was my energy level. My food intake was less. The cravings kind of disappeared little by little. But I gotta admit, the first time I did it with the challenge, it was the hardest one, because knowing that my body was so used to eating junk food, it
Mhm.
was craving for it. But then having to always have what Mark was saying, the accountability, what you
Mhm.
have, you just, I was just like, you know what, I gotta push through it. Like I gotta keep going. If I wanted to see, you may not see the result completely all over your body, but the the energy level that I had made, it was a big difference.
Yeah.
Being a teacher, working from a certain time, well, I actually go to work from 6:30, and I'm the one who opened the facility. So from 6:30 till onward, my energy level was more of like, I was upbeat and moving forward, and I was doing a lot more activities with my students.
Love that. Love that. So you noticed right away your energy levels were
Yes.
elevated, moving around
Yes.
a lot more. How much weight did you lose within the first 6 weeks?
So I started at 240.
Mhm.
I am currently at sorry, am two sorry 231.
231. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Almost 10 pounds.
Yes.
Um, Congratulations. Body fat, do you know what those numbers look like?
I started my body fat um at 44.9,
Mhm.
and I'm currently at 46.7.
44 to 46 went up or
No,
no, went down.
it went down. It should be, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Oh no, I think I got your numbers. You start at 53 and you went
Yes.
to 48.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I
No,
got
I
it.
was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right.
So
Yes.
okay, so 10 pounds down,
Yeah.
5% body fat, which is huge. When was the
Yes.
last time you saw that type of weight loss?
Just when I was actually single and no baby.
So that's amazing. So like,
It was a pretty long time. I mean, I have never thought I would lose the weight, because I've always been, my mom and my dad actually always tell me like I was a very small child as growing up, and they're like, "Where have you decided to store all this weight from?" And
Yeah.
I'm just like, "Well, you have no clue that you don't have the time. When you don't have the time, like you just
Yeah.
eat and eat and eat."
Yeah. Absolutely. Love that. So you already talked about the non-measurable wins, energy levels through the roofs now. Um, Talk to me about like your son. He has he noticed the difference?
He has. We do more a lot of activities. He's also on the when my mom is a feeder, so she likes to feed my son. Actually, when a year ago, actually, my son was on the verge of diabetes
Oh no.
because of at the age of 11 we found that out. We were quite scared. My motivation with him was, if you lose the weight, mommy will also lose the weight. We'll work together. So
Mhm.
during summertime, he was at home. So we did was I signed him up for baseball. Him and my dad would constantly go out in the morning at 9 o'clock in the morning, go for a walk at our park near our place. So it was just a constant walk until he lost much of the weight. So we were quite happy
Mhm.
that when he went back to the doctor was like, he's a lot much lighter because he was actually obese for his age.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that got me scared because diabetes is actually it runs in our family. So
Mhm.
that's one thing that was just like I was reminding him, you don't want to be in insulin for the rest of your life.
Mhm.
As you get older, that's going to be harder for you to lose. So it kind of motivated him to do the same thing that I was doing. So
Yeah.
now he's doing a lot of walking, eating less. So he's watching out what he's eating actually.
Yeah. That's awesome. Sorry, I just lost you there. But I think the amazing thing is like, yeah, just listening to your story, you became a leader in your household. Like she almost someone to look up to because you could do this, so that means he could do it even as well, which is awesome. So congratulations for that, Maria. You should be so proud.
Thank you. No, honestly, I was just telling Mark, I couldn't be more thankful enough to have found you guys. Honestly, Fight Fitness has been it's like a family, a second family now to me. You guys are a great motivator. The coaches have been amazing. You have Sean, Kiana, and Chris. They're just been an amazing coach.
Yeah. Love to hear that. Love to hear that. I asked TJ this question too, but do you have a favorite class?
I'd say at first I was telling TJ I didn't want to do the fit. I was actually afraid of doing those things because I didn't know how my body would react. But as time moved forward, I actually enjoyed the class more than the kickboxing.
That's amazing transition. Yeah, we hear that a lot, right? Because the kickboxing is great because it helps you burn calories, you're moving and you're sweating a ton, and then the fit just helps you build that muscle. And then once you get used to some of these exercises, like you start to like it because you
Yeah.
feel the strength, which is awesome. This last question, it's a two-part question.
Hmm.
About when you first came in, when you heard about us. A, were you skeptical about it? And B, what would you say to someone who was kind of in your position who tried all these things like gyms, one-on-one personal trainer and didn't see any results, but you finally got the results here?
Well, first, like I said, I was very skeptical about it because I've gone through so much gym membership, one-on-one personal membership, and everything else. I was just to a point where like I don't want to do this anymore. But like there was something that what Mark had given, like what gave me more of a motivation was the moment he mentioned about accountability, like how you portray yourself and how you push yourself to motivate yourself. Like you got to be accountable to those things, because if you're not accountable, chances are you're just not going to do what you're expecting, what your body's supposed to do. And honestly, for a person who's gone through my situation, honestly, they have to just have to try. They have to try to see.
Love it. I gotta do it. Yeah, just do it and just make that commitment, which you
Yeah.
have. I think you're only in your very beginning of your journey, Maria. You've done amazing so far, but I think you have so much more to go. And you should be so proud of your results. I'm so happy for you, and thank you for sharing your story.
No, thank you.
All right, take care, Maria.
Thank you. Bye.